my loves. Welcome or welcome back to Chemistry with Kismet Tarot. I'm Monica, the Kismet Chemist. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Welcome to the family. It's an honor to have you here. If you are returning, welcome back. I have missed you. My loves, oh my gosh, this is literally me sitting down to film my 4th reading for the channel in 2 days. And I finally feel that freedom, that release from all of the past so that I can get realigned, or so that I recognize that I am realigned with the channel, with where it was when I left all the way back in, what was it, December of 2023, where I needed to step back. So back in December of 2023, I had just started a Gifts from Mother Earth series, focusing on all of the different things of Mother Earth that we are blessed with, from spirit animals to birds of flight to crystals. And now this part 2 is actually focusing on tree wisdom. And the first time that I was getting ready to do this reading, I had been using the Tree Angel Oracle, and I did this long channeling, like channeled messages for each pile. Sorry, I'm dropping Willow fur because I'm petting her at the same time. And I ended up not filming that one, but just posting those messages on my community page. So this time, as soon as I touched the box for the Tree Angel Oracle deck, I got this big not this time. And so instead, we are working with Denise Lynn's The Sacred Forest Oracle, which I find very curious because it actually brings in a lot of the other parts of it, but it's still focused on the sacred forest. And when we think about the wisdom of the trees, we don't necessarily think about the fact that within the trees, like when you have a group of trees, you have a forest, like large group of trees is a forest. And the wisdom found in a forest is not simply the wisdom of the trees. It's all the different aspects of it. So even though this is tree wisdom, it's more about what we find that we don't expect hidden amongst the trees. So with all that being said, I am going to introduce the piles, and then I will give you guys about 60 seconds so that you can tap into the energy. I will put on some meditation music. You can ask your guides, angels, ancestors, deities, the universe, the cosmos, what have you, your higher self, to lead you to the pile or piles that are right for you, so that you may gain this wisdom that is waiting for you within the trees of the forest. So for pile 1, we have Wizard of the Woods with the keyword focus and the number 50. Pile 2, we have Guardians of the Land with the keyword protection and the number 21. Pile number 3, we have the Earth Spirit and the keyword stability with the number 14. And pile number 4, we have the Bluebird Spirit with the keyword happiness and the number 7. So I will go ahead and take a step back and give you guys some time with the cards and the energy, and I will see you at your piles. Timestamps are in the description box as always. Hello, pile one. If you chose the first card, the Wizard of the Woods, and focus, this is your message from the Wisdom from the Trees. All right. First of all, for whatever reason, this is my second time trying to start this video, trying to do this reading for you guys. And the energy is a little bit sluggish, I want to say. Just kind of, it's kind of like a knotted up energy. So I'm going to ask you guys to close your eyes and just do some breathing with me. So breathe in through the nose. Hold. And out through the mouth. One more time, in through the nose. Hold. And out through the mouth. Thank you. That's much better. The Wizard of the Woods talks about what we focus on, what our intentions are. Sometimes in life, we can be very scatterbrained. We can have our energy pieced apart and going in all sorts of different directions. I'm actually, in my mind's eye, I'm seeing a TikTok that was made by Elise Myers. And she was talking about how it was 8 o'clock in the morning one day and what it was like having ADHD at that moment in time. And she had this circle and she said, this is me, or this is my energy and my attention. And she said, it's going here and here and here. And she started drawing all these arrows outside of that circle. And then she said, what I need, and she drew another one on the other page. She said, I need my energy to go this direction, just one singular direction. And she said, but I don't know what this direction is. So it's very hard for someone who is neurodivergent, especially if you have ADD, ADHD, or ADD, ADHD combined type. For myself, I have the combined type, and it is very severe. So I also understand how this works, and I understand the conflict of this energy. It's incredibly challenging unless you have spent a lot of time learning different mitigating practices, and everybody's mitigating practices are different. So mine are definitely not the same as other people's. I actually, for whatever reason, my ADD, ADHD mitigating practices are, I have to have a clean environment. I have to have a very neat, organized environment. And then I can dedicate my energy and my focus in one direction. So this is asking you, what are your mitigating factors, or what are the different things that you use in order to get yourself to focus in a direction? Because the Wizard of the Woods acknowledges that it's good to be a little bit scattered here and there, because that's where you find inspiration. That's where you find all these new adventures. When you're just, I'm not going to focus on one direction. I'm just going to go all over the place and see where life takes me. That is a beautiful experience. And now it's time to kind of narrow that in and say, okay, I have experienced all these beautiful things. And so I'm ready to go in one specific direction. If you think about it in terms of the forest, for certain trees, there is a time frame in which they have to scatter seeds for new ones to be born. And in that, it's kind of chaotic because it's just all these seeds are flying all over the place and really trying to get themselves into the ground and to grow. And that in that moment, then we look at, okay, that's the scattered. Now, once the seeds are planted and it's time to grow, then it's time to focus on the root system. It's time to focus on growing up instead of out. Now, one of the unseen truths of life, which is represented here by the back of the deck energy for you, is this Sovereign of Roots. And I want to show you this. I love these decks. If you've been on my channel for any amount of time, you know that I love working with Sarah Ray Fina's decks. Is that? Sorry, I said that wrong. It's Ray Serafina Barker. And you can find her on Etsy. But this is the Sovereign of Roots is equivalent to the Queen of Pentacles. Now, if this is something that is an unseen truth within your life, this is about that feeling of, I'm so scattered and so all over the place, but I know somewhere within me, I just know that I have the ability to nurture something from start to finish, to bring it into fruition, to bring it into abundance, to bring abundance into my life, to bring prosperity into my life. And that's really what the Queen of Pentacles, or the Sovereign of Roots, does. She knows this pentacle is my blessing and my task of life. And so I'm going to love it, nurture it. I'm going to plant it. I'm going to weed all around it. I'm going to give it all the proper nutrients and water and sunlight that it needs. And I'm going to love it, talk to it, encourage it, protect it. And as it grows, so too do I. And you can feel like, oh, I've got this within me to do that. And then sit down and try and do something like that, say on a creative level, like me sitting here and channeling for you guys. And it can feel very hard to get past that knotted, I got to go everywhere energy. So there's some messages, and that's what we're going to address here. The theme of this reading is this focus card. It's about helping you to find your direction, your purposeful direction, singular in nature, instead of being so scattered. Why? Because you do know that there is something for you to create in this life, to bring into life from nothing, and you will create it into something grand. I can't define that specific thing. It's going to be different for everybody as it goes with these collective readings. However, I can give you some insight. So each of these 4 cards is correlated to a part of the tree. We've got the leaves up on top, which is correlated to your higher self and a message from your higher self. And then we're going to look at the branches of the tree, which is how you connect with your higher self. So this message is what your higher self wants you to know. This is how you can connect. And then we have the trunk, which is the true self, your true self. This is the part that correlates the most with the Sovereign of Roots. And then here on the bottom, we have the roots with your ancestral inheritance. And we are actually going to work our way from the bottom to the top in this message. And then we've got some oracle cards over here that we're going to use for just some pieces that you might feel or sense and not necessarily be able to put into a tangible concept. So let's find out about what you have inherited from your ancestors first. We have the Student of Light. I love this. Love, love, love. Okay. This is the Student of Light is the page of, I believe it's the page. Let me double check. Of Wands, but I want to make sure. Yeah. Students are the pages. Stewards are the knights. Okay. So this is the Page of Wands. And the Page of Wands is, oh, I love the Page of Wands because it is one of the most inspired cards in the entire deck. This is the curiosity, the spark of wonder, of creation, of life, of living life, of really exploring all the different things. So with your ancestral inheritance, you inherited this divine inspiration, divine curiosity. Oftentimes you see the curiosity side with the swords. And so with the Student of Light, you're looking at, what can I create in this world? What can I bring to life in this world? What can I physically get involved with? And that really is that fire energy. It's less in your mind and more about the action of doing. And so this really does correlate strongly here to why this is a truth of you. This Sovereign of Roots is a truth of you because you have that inspiration to go and do and create and bring to life something that is unknown or unseen at this point in time in your life, or even in your familial lines. Your ancestors chose you, and you agreed to come here in order to bring a new energy into the fold. That's what I just heard. As in, you're there to elevate the energy and the magic and the wisdom of your family lines in this life. And that doesn't mean that you have to be connected to your family. Guys, I understand. I went no contact with my family for a very long time. And in fact, I'm still no contact with one of my brothers. And I don't see that changing at any given point in time. I really don't. Sorry about the noise, guys. I don't see that changing, because in order for that to change, there has to be common ground. And as it stands right now, there is no common ground. We both see life through a completely different lens. And I recognize that in order to protect my peace, he can't be a part of my life. And it's very hard. But that doesn't mean that I disavow my ancestral inheritances. I would never disavow my family lines, my bloodlines, even if I can't be connected to my family in this life. And I feel like that's important for you to know, as deeply personal as it is, that you're not alone if you find that you have had to do that. If you find that you have had to walk away from your families, it doesn't mean that you are disconnected from your ancestors. Or another example would be if you're adopted. Arguably, being adopted means that you have 4 bloodlines that you've inherited. And it can be hard to understand that because, of course, you're not part of, your adoptive parents' bloodlines, but because you were raised in it, you are. You genuinely are. So you have your biological parents and your adoptive parents, and you have all of those familial lines, and you carry the generational trauma and karma of those, but you also carry all of the blessings and gifts. In that way, your ancestors and you connect the strongest when you let your curiosity and your inspiration lead you. That's where you find your direction. So let's find out about your true self. Yes. We have the 6 of Dreams, or the 6 of Cups. I love this card. These cards are so beautiful. I can never get over how just stunning visually and energetically these cards are. So the 6 of Dreams is the 6 of Cups. This means that you are here to honor the past, to recognize the ways in which your ancestors and your upbringing and your family lines and your friends and the whole world, to recognize the importance of learning from the past, recognizing where things have changed and shifted, where people have gone wrong, and then doing something different, to recognize that remembering these things isn't a negative thing. It's not a bad thing to do. It's something that we do because we honor it. Who you are, your truest self in this life, is someone who honors the past, someone who thinks presently through the lens of the past. And that can be hard. Some of you may have Mercury retrograde in your natal charts, particularly in either water signs or water houses. So the houses are 4, 8, and 12, and the signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. You don't have to have that placement, but it is an energy I pick up from this as being part of your true self, because it's an emotionally driven understanding of self in terms of your connection to the world and to other people. It's also this honoring of the past, and you're this amalgamation of what happened before, what will be, and what is currently. And in doing that, you really do honor the Six of Cups. You're able to see the reality of the past, but also able to hold on to those silver linings and the best parts. And it doesn't mean that you are bypassing or that you engage in bypassing the pains of the past or the lessons of the past. No, in fact, you tend towards, what I'm picking up is you tend towards learning those lessons on repeat in a multitude of ways, but you still always find the best in all of it. And that is noble beyond belief. That is one of the most honorable, noble things that a person can do, is to say, I see the darkness of the past. I see the pain of the past, but I honor myself fully, and I honor the past by focusing on what is good and light and positive, not what pains we have, but seeing that when we all carry pain, we do so because we love. The depth of pain we feel is equivalent to the depth of love. And that's just who you are. And that's inspirational in and of itself. But sometimes being that person means that you can struggle with finding inspiration because you are the inspiration. So let's find out how you can connect better with your higher self before we find out what it is that your higher self would like you to know. I'm sorry, guys. I can't help it. We have the Magician card here. The Magician card, which is literally Mercury energy. And I promise, like Scout's honor, I do not look at these cards ahead of time, ever. It goes against every like fiber of integrity for me to even contemplate that. But we have the Magician card. How do you connect with your higher self? You connect with your higher self through the 4 elements, through communication, through recognizing what you're capable of doing in this life. I'm getting journaling. I'm getting public speaking, or even just talking to yourself. I want to say, I know that Lexi, the Leo, that she talked in the past about an app that she used that was like a vocal journal, I think is what it was. So like it was like a recording thing. So you could just journal by talking instead of journaling by writing. Maybe that's something that would be interesting to you. But the point of the Magician is that they take all the different pieces, all of the different elements, and they create with it. But it's also Mercury energy, and Mercury is about communication. So this is about you learning how to communicate. And when you actively engage in different forms of communication, that really is when you allow yourself to fully embrace and embody your true self and connect with your higher self. So let's get your higher self's message here. All right, your higher self wants to talk about the Tower. Please don't be fearful here. When I see this Tower card, what I see is this boat sitting here out on the water, and the tower that's being struck is a lighthouse. Your higher self wants you to understand that you're still on still waters. The waters are calm, and you are capable of navigating through without needing the lighthouse. So you don't need to seek someone else's light in order to find your way, because the moon shines and the stars shine and then the sun comes out, and you can track your progress by looking at the sky, by connecting to the cosmos instead of seeking someone else's light. You don't need someone else's light to make your direction known. You chart your path. You chart your course through this life. And it can feel destructive when that happens, because how am I supposed to find my way through life if I don't have this as my guide? If I don't have a set example? Guys, I didn't have a great example of how to be a mom. And so I really stumbled a lot through motherhood. And I am proud to say and thrilled to say, and it brings a lot of like, I've made so much progress to say that I'm a really great mom now. I have these beautiful beautiful children, and we have such unique connections. Each of my kids gets a different mom, but they all get the mom that loves them unconditionally. But I didn't have that as my example. I didn't have that lighthouse for me. I didn't grow up with it. The closest I had was my grandmother and my aunt. And I'm filming this the last Monday of July, which means that this coming Saturday marks 1 year since my aunt passed. And then 7 days after that, on the 9th, marks 2 years since my grandmother passed. So the two strongest examples that I had of motherhood have passed from this life. And though I still have my mother, our relationship is tenuous at best for the majority of the time. Not for a lack of trying, but it just is how it is between us. And yeah, when you don't have that example and you're trying to do something like that, and this might not be about motherhood or fatherhood, it could be about, you wanting to create, you want to write a book, or you want to create, animation strips or comic strips or anime or anything like that, like just anything at all. And you just don't have that example because nobody has said that for you. And you want to seek it outside of yourself. Your higher self is saying, try to seek within instead of outside of yourself. Communicate with yourself. Because when you communicate with yourself, a lot will change and it will feel destructive at first. But the point of the tower is for a firmer foundation. So it's about you learning how to really ground yourself and root yourself into your divine inspiration. And you inherited that. So let's just get a little bit more information for moving forward. So this is the Deep Place Oracle, and the everything but the Sacred Forest Tarot or the Sacred Forest Oracle are created by Ray Serafina Barker. So what more would you like the collective of Pile 1 to know? Spirit of the woods, wisdom from the trees. Thank you. Okay. Possibility. This makes so much sense. Oh my gosh, look. On the back, we have seedling. This is literally what I've been talking about with the Sovereign of Roots. So when we don't have an example, we can sometimes limit ourselves. What if everything and anything was possible? If life was nothing but possibility, what could you do? What couldn't you do? That's really what your higher self and your guides and ancestors want you to know. So now we're going to take a look at just a shadow, a piece of your shadow that's impacting. Piece of the shadow that's impacting. Oh, a couple of them. All right. So we have life and death and offering. I will put those up in a minute. And then we have gaze on the back. Okay. All right. Sometimes we feel like we have to give up. We have to offer up something crucial, or we feel like we have been offered up. That life and death becomes the offering. We aren't able to necessarily see. It's like we can't see beyond the loss. What do I have to give in order to not suffer? What do I have to offer in order to not have it be ripped away from me? And guys, I can't answer that for you. That's something that you need to communicate within yourself, to your higher self. But I can tell you that sometimes our perception is placed upon it's like having the wrong lens. So I wear glasses or contacts, but if I have my contacts in, if I put my right contact in my left eye and vice versa, they're very close, but they're not quite the same. One of them is a worse vision than the other. So it will seem almost clear, but it will be an irritated clarity where I'll get headaches and I'll have to continually adjust my eyes. And then eventually I will have to switch them and put them correctly. That's what I get from this gaze, the life and death and the offering is as though you have your contacts in the wrong eyes and they're so close that you feel like it's the correct prescription. It's the correct vision. It's the correct placement. But there's just one tiny thing that's off. And what that tiny thing is that perspective that you have based off of that perception. And your higher self wants you to connect more internally in order to find that one point of focus that will elevate, alleviate, and change your entire existence. You have the capability of doing it, no one else, because it is for you to do. Wow. Okay. That is the end of that message. It was just like cut off. Pile one, this was beautiful. I want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you to your guides, my guides, the Great Spirit, for bringing us all together and allowing these messages to flow through me for the collective of Pile one. Pile one, if this resonated and you would like to support my channel, I would be deeply honored. You can do that by liking the video, subscribing to the channel. You can share the video on social media or with a friend if you feel they might be helped by it. And you can also comment in the comment section below. Any and all interaction with my channel really does help it grow, and I deeply appreciate it. It's never required, never expected, but it is always appreciated. So without further ado, I will leave you here, and I hope to see you at my next reading. I love you all. Bye. Hello, Pile 2. If you chose the Guardians of the Land and Protection card, this is your message of wisdom from the trees. So to start it off with, I'm caught by the deer in this image, and it brings me to Bambi. So Bambi, for those of you who may not know, is a very old Disney movie, I think from the 1920s, perhaps. But Bambi is a baby deer who was born, and his mom died, was killed by hunters. And he grows up, and then there's this big forest fire, and his father, who he never met, comes and saves him. Now, the reason why this comes up in my mind with this card is the figure, this shadow figure of a buck. When we think about the father archetype, we think about protection. We think about discipline. We think about very emperor-esque energy. But there are times where we get stuck out in the world, out in life, and we feel like we don't have that protection. We feel like we don't have any help around us or for us. And your guides and your higher self and your ancestors are coming forward today to say, it may feel as though you have to be on guard all the time, as though there is no safe space, as though you have to perpetually be looking over your shoulder and checking every angle to make sure that you are safe because you don't feel protected. But we have your back. We are surrounding you. We are protecting you. We have your back. And when we don't feel as though we have adequate protection in life, it can be a very ungrounding experience. It can feel like we are untethered, floating around in the world, no safe space, no safety, no security, no assurance that what exists in our reality can't be taken away in any way, shape, or form. An alternative, though, is veering to the absolute extreme opposite, which is being overprotective. It's looking at things as though they are so, what's the word I'm looking for, Spirit? Transient. They're so transient that there's the only thing that you can do is cling, grip, squeeze, hold on as tight as humanly possible, even if it doesn't serve, just to avoid the experience of loss, the experience of change. Whether you are in the first section or the second, this message is about what it means for you to recognize that there is that middle ground, that trust in having guides and having Spirit's protection, so that you don't feel unsafe, but also so you don't feel like you must cling to things far beyond their time in your life. So this card that you can see here at the back of the deck, it's the back of the tarot deck. This card is the Four of Roots. And it correlates to the Four of Pentacles. Now, this represents a perhaps unseen truth of your life. And these two really flow together so beautifully, because with this Four of Roots and its correlation to the Four of Pentacles, this is about there being physical, tangible security and safety rooted in your life. There being this consistent safety in your life. And when we look at the Four of Pentacles and say like the Rider-Waite Tarot, or as my mind always correlates to the Light Seers Tarot because it's my favorite deck, it's someone that essentially is just clinging to one of the pentacles. Just one, though. There are four pentacles, but they're clinging to one. And if they were to release their grip on that one, they would see how much more they have than what that one implies. We don't always see the things that are right in front of us. And then other times we see the things that we are so afraid of losing that we can't not look at it. We fight looking away. I think one of the most freeing yet most challenging truths ever is about the fact that in this life, in this world that we live in right now, we think about consumerism and we think about products and purchasing and owning. I mean, I myself, I have hundreds of tarot and oracle decks. I have hundreds, if not thousands, of books on my shelf in all sorts of different genres. I have, a closet full of clothes. I've got like 6 pairs of shoes. I have all of these material things. But the truth is that all of the things that I have amassed in my life, whether I continue to have them within my home or not, all of these things are things that just belong in this world. They aren't things that I came here with. They aren't going to be things that I leave here with. We don't take with us into the next life or into our spirit life after this physical life. We don't take with us our money, our books, our shoes or clothes. We don't take any of that with us. What we take with us is what we learn from it, how we grow from it, the love that we share, the connections that we forge, the understanding, the wisdom, the compassion, the grace, the empathy. We take those things with us. We take our wrongdoing. We take the ways in which we hurt others and hurt ourselves. We take that with us as well. Those are the things that we take with us. So it's important to remember that when we are that ingrained in the physical world, that which we are meant to protect is the journey of the soul, the heart, the mind, the growth into a better version of ourselves. That is what we take with us when we leave this world, when we leave this life. That is what we are meant to hold on to, but not too tightly, so that we can continue to evolve every day in every way. So we can continue to grow into our humanity and learn what that means, because that's why our souls come here. And it's important, it's incredibly important to remember that on that journey, we aren't alone. We're not abandoned. We are loved, protected, nurtured, cared for by the universe, by our guides, by our ancestors, by those in spirit who have contracted with our soul to guide us unseen by the physical eyes, unheard by the ears, but felt through our entire energy field, through our hearts, through our minds. Felt. So today the trees want to talk to you about that security and comfort of knowing that you are protected on this journey in your life, grounding yourself into the foundation of that, and learning how to grow beyond that without clinging too tightly and without running out of fear. So the 4 cards that we have here, this one represents the leaves of the tree, and it's a message from your higher self. This one represents the branches of the tree, which is how we connect with our higher selves. This third one is the trunk of the tree, and it represents the true nature of who you are, your truest self. And finally, we have the roots, which is your ancestral inheritance. We also have a couple of oracle decks over here. Those are going to be these kind of unknown pieces that are felt, not seen, not heard, just giving them more of a tangibility for you. So we're actually going to start, instead of starting at the roots and working our way up, we're going to start at the leaves and hear from your higher self, because they have a message that will directly relate to how they want you to connect. We have the student of shadow. So the student of shadow is it's the page of swords. That's what it can correlate to. So with the page of swords, or the student of shadow, this is about getting curious. We can get curious about the things that we hold on to, the things that we protect, the things that we see reflected back to us. And that really is what your higher self is saying here. Your higher self is saying, not everything in the shadow is meant to scare you away. It's not meant to hold you back or hold your life at bay. Instead, what it's meant to do is spark this curiosity so that you go looking into areas that you may not have seen or thought of prior. So there's this shadow figure wearing a hooded cloak, but they're holding like a crystal ball that has a flower. And hang on, I don't know why. Sorry, I moved off. I don't know why, but I just felt called to really pull this out here. So that is my selenite crystal ball. Your higher self wants you to think about how you can learn from your shadow. What can you see? What can you divine of your life and your journey and who you truly are when you look into the shadow? There's this image that I'm getting, and it's a crystal ball, and it's got this like cloudy smoke inside the ball. And from that emerges an image. What is the image that you see when you close your eyes and you imagine a crystal ball in front of you, like this one? And imagine that that crystal ball has clouds of smoke, or, dark clouds like you would see for a thunderstorm. Look into that. What is the figure that comes out? take that wisdom, that insight, that vision, and get curious about it. What is it telling you? What is it teaching you? How can you better connect to this so that you can understand? It's kind of like a form of it. I'm getting this as like a form of scrying that you would think of, but it's like the whole entire thing occurs inside your mind. You don't need the physical part of it because you carry it within you. Oh, that is so cool. That's such a cool concept. Okay, let's look at the branches to help you with engaging in this. Oh, you can't make this stuff up, guys. We have the Hermit, card number 9. That's also Virgo energy. But from this, the Hermit is all about that inner journey. And if you look, she is walking down a flight of stairs. She's walking down the stairs. Normally you see a hermit on like a mountain peak, just looking out as though they are about to go on this grand journey into the mountain or over the mountain. But she's climbing down. She's going down further and further into herself. There's actually a meditation that I did, a shamanic meditation that I did that was about the shamanic cave that you contain within yourself. And it was originally designed to help identify a spirit animal. But I noticed that it came through to my clairvoyance so vividly that that cave just kept growing. And there was an antechamber that was grown out of that original chamber that had a spiral staircase that wound down that brought me down into the depths of the underworld and into this realm where I could meet with my ancestors and do cleansing rituals and things of that nature. Sometimes we think about connecting to our higher selves and we think, well, I've got to elevate myself up. I've got to astral project into the ethers. But sometimes we need to anchor ourselves lower. We need to go down into the underworld, go down to the lower world, go down and see what the ancestors have left us. So there is a direct correlation here with you being able to connect to your higher self, getting curious and really opening yourself up to all of the symbolism that is contained within that singular internal crystal ball. And it is directly correlative or directly related to the ancestral roots. So before we look at the true self, we're going to actually jump to the roots. This is very interesting. This is not the order that the other piles have gone in, but I'm here for it, pile 2. So, oh my gosh, look at this. This is what you inherited. This is why it matters, because it's the Wheel of Fortune. Now, I am picking up, you might have Cancer in the 9th house, or the 10th house. And as of right now, we've got Jupiter moving through Cancer until 2026. I believe Jupiter is there until June 30th of 2026, I do believe. But the Wheel of Fortune, and look, the person on the Wheel of Fortune, it's very hard to see right away, but there are sand dunes and they're off on this journey and they're walking towards this clock. And this, again, the Wheel of Fortune talks about, you know, kind of like the wheel of destiny, the path of destiny, the wheel that continues to turn. You get to the top and then you find your way falling to the bottom and so on and so forth. But in this one in particular, there is this essence of going on this journey to understand the nature of time, timing of your life, timing of your soul's life. The journey from your higher self to your ancestors. The journey from the higher self to the ancestors can only be done when you embrace your true self. So let's find out. Oh my gosh, you guys. Pile 2, you guys are incredible. You have the sun. Like, you have 3 major arcanas right here. You are a living, breathing example of spiritual awareness, of spiritual wisdom. So to go from your higher self down into your destined path, your ancestral destiny, it's about embracing you as you exist, embracing you as being alive. The sun is our life-giving force, but it is about happiness. It's about joy. So you You may not, pile 2, I get a sense, a resonance that I'm familiar with, in which people say you're such a positive light. You're such a bright beacon of happiness and joy, but you may not always feel that way. In fact, some of you may actually feel the exact opposite. Like I'm always so pessimistic, or I'm always seeing all of the ways that things could go wrong, or the way that the depravity of the world, and so on and so forth. The thing is I can do those things too, but so many people see me as happy and joyful because that is the energy that is natural to me. That is your natural energy, is this joyful energy. And you may not see it because a lot of the times we don't see what is the absolute closest to us. We don't see that because we distort our own perception of self. And there's no shame in that. There's no guilt in that. You're not wrong for doing it. It's part of that learning journey. It's part that is asking you to get curious. Why do I do this? What is the purpose of it? What is it teaching me? How do I transcend beyond it? And the path from that curiosity to understanding it and walking your destiny involves going within yourself, embracing your joy and your happiness, and walking towards the time in which you are meant to expand in this world and in this life. Holy cow. Let's find out what else your guides, your guides definitely want to talk here. They want to talk about a specific situation. The situation will be the back of the deck. Their understanding will be here. So the situation, portal. She's staring out the window at the earth. And look, we've got, oh my gosh, you guys, look at this. Right here and right here. They're mirroring each other, but this one is the sun. This is incredible. Ooh, vastness. I love that. Okay, so what they're saying here, what your guides want you to be aware is that every situation in life, when we come to a crossroads, it is very similar, like going through a portal. It's walking past the threshold of what is known to what is unknown. When we cross that threshold, now we open ourselves up to the curiosity that is contained within that shadow. But we can be afraid to take that step through the portal because we don't know it, and we don't know whether we're going to be safe and rooted. We don't know whether we're going to be protected. We don't know. So why should we do it? This right here. This is what your guides want you to know. For your growth. Now, why would your growth matter in this case? Because your growth is what you take with you. Each one of the rings on a tree is said to indicate a year in which that tree has been alive. It's years of wisdom. It's around the wheel of fortune, one by one by one. And from all of this awareness, from its outside protective bark, springs forth new life. And we can see it from many perspectives. We can see it from a higher view. We can see it through the lens of joy and love and happiness. We can see it through a portal into the self. There's so many mirrorings between the student of shadow. Sorry, I wanted to say roots for some reason. The student of shadow and the portal. What you look into is showing you a reflection of your physical self in some way, shape, or form. So what was that figure? It's here for your growth. Even if it feels like it's hindering you or holding you back, it's still here for your growth. Sometimes we have to consider things like a bow and arrow. It's a common metaphor that is used, a common symbolism that is used. And symbolism is the language of the universe. That is how spirit speaks to us, how the universe speaks to us. So the image of a bow and arrow is that in order for the arrow to fly true, to fly far, and to hit its mark, it must first be pulled back from where it is. So we have to recognize that if we're pulling back, if we feel like we are falling behind, like one step forward, 2 steps back, if we feel like we are falling backwards, falling behind, or regressing in any way, shape, or form, sometimes it's because we're being pulled back so that we can launch forward in a much more aligned, successful state. But in the action of being pulled back, and I just saw 1, 2, 3, 4 on my clock, the action of being pulled back is the action of reflection. It's this energy here. And why we would do that is because when we go through this portal, here, when we go through this portal, we find that the figure that we see is the truth of ourselves. And from there, we set out on that journey in order to walk through life with our destiny. So what is it that the shadow wants you to know? What does the shadow want you to know? Yes. Okay. The shadow wants you to be aware of the story that you tell yourself. When I see this card, I can't help but think about Beauty and the Beast, because it looks like the mirrors that are used in Beauty and the Beast, looking at the rose, except it's not a red rose anymore. It's a white rose, and the white rose represents purity. But that window was a way to see the people that we love, to see beyond just our image, just the image of our face. It's a way to see more than what our physical eyes see in that moment. Sometimes our own reflection is all we need in order to see the truth of who we are. So this is what they want you to know. There is a light in the darkness, in those shadow lands. That light is your innocence. When we mess up in life, we end up telling ourselves certain storylines. I am ... fill in the blank. So for me, one of the things that I used to do is there would be conflict between me and my kids, and I would be, the parent that doles out punishment, repercussions of their actions kind of thing. Like, okay, you broke this rule, now you're grounded for this weekend or whatever, what have you. And my kids, especially my oldest, Haley, she would get so angry with me, and we would shout at each other, and it was very, very toxic. But what she never saw was that after those times, I would go outside, I'd sit down on the porch with my husband, and I would cry. I would cry at being such a terrible parent. I would cry because I was so mean. I would cry because I'm not doing what's right. I would cry because I was driving this wedge between my child and myself because I was parenting. And I didn't understand it because I had never grown up knowing what a real parent was like. We can think of ourselves in such negative ways. We can think of ourselves as though we don't have any innocence left, as though that's been robbed from us for whatever reason. But the reality is that our innocence, it affords us journeys through life. Everyone is born innocent, and we all carry that innocence within ourselves. And it's about how that story plays out. Are we going to tell this story of how terrible we are? Are we going to tell the story of how we live in this shadowy world and everything, like nihilism at its finest? Are we going to be jaded and cynical? Or are we going to say, you know what? I've been through hell and high water, but I grew. How did I grow? This is how I grew. So for me, to give you just a tangible example, for me, last year I hit a wall with my daughter, Haley, where she was making life choices, and she was an adult making life choices that I couldn't engage in. One of the hardest things to do as a parent is to let go of your children, to recognize that they are old enough to make their own decisions, make their own mistakes, and that it isn't for you to pick them up and fix it for them anymore. And that's really hard to understand, because as a mom, all I want to do is scoop my kids up, kiss their boo-boos, and make it better. But that wasn't what was right. If I had not taken a step back and allowed her to literally fall flat on her face and lose everything important to her, she and I may not be where we are today, which is the healthiest, most fulfilling relationship that we've ever had with each other. Sometimes we have to see that we can't protect our own innocence or the innocence of others from the way that the world is, from the shadows of everything and everyone else, even ourselves. But we can tell a story of this beautiful light that we have within ourselves. This light in the darkness, in the shadows. This light of destiny, of protection, of love. That's what we can do. We can step through the portal from everything that is known and embrace change, embrace all of that, because we know that we are protected, rooted, safe, and secure within this life, because what is happening is meant to happen. And guys, I get how annoying and obnoxious that thought can be. Trust me when I say that is the last thing that I have wanted to hear for the past 2 years at least, because fine, I'm supposed to watch the people that I love die. I'm supposed, whatever, like I can get very cynical and jaded myself. But the truth is, if I were not to have gone through those times, I wouldn't be here today. And I almost wasn't here. But we get to choose. And that is where the growth comes in. The choice of how to navigate through the world and through our lives. What story you tell about your light in the darkness, about your joy, your truest self, the curiosity that sparks for you to start looking deeper instead of wider. That is what your guides, your ancestors, and the Great Spirit want you to do. That is the wisdom from the trees for you. Okay, pile 2. I hope this resonated. I always lose myself in the channeling, and then I come out of it and I'm like, did I really put together any kind of coherent thought? But I always just lean into the trust. And I think that is just a wisdom to share with you guys. Pile 2, I want to take this time to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you to your guides, my guides, the Great Spirit, for bringing us all together. Thank you for allowing me to be a vessel for the messages, the love, the understanding, and the inspiration for Pile 2. May they find what they are seeking within themselves. Thank you. Pile 2, if this resonated and you would like to support my channel, I would be ever so grateful. You can do that by liking the video, commenting in the comment section below. You can subscribe to my channel. You could even share the video or the channel out on social media or with a friend or family. Whatever, I just heard whatever floats your boat. Interesting. Okay, whatever you may be interested in doing, it's never expected. And I never want you guys to feel obligated, but it is always appreciated. So without further ado, I will leave you here, and I hope to see you at my next reading. I love you all. Bye. Hello, Pile 3. If you chose the third card, the Earth Spirit, with the keyword stability card, card number 14, this is your message about tree wisdom. All right, Pile 3. First of all, some of you may have been drawn to another pile. You may be at this one first before that one. If that's the case, I just want you to take it as a confirmation. If that's not the case, don't worry about it unless you feel called to another one. Anyway, okay. Now, now that we got that out of the way, pile 3, let's have some real talk right away. Okay. This card on the back of the deck represents an unseen, or in this case, unacknowledged truth about your reality, about your life right now. It could be about your life in general. But I do get a very like right now feeling, as in this is the present moment reality. And the reason why I say more so unacknowledged than unseen is that it's the 4 of Dreams, which also correlates to the 4 of Cups. And more often than not, when you're in a 4 of Cups energy, you know you're there. That doesn't make it any easier. So the theme of the reading is represented by the stability card. This card isn't about where you have stability. It's about you finding stability. It's about you grounding yourself, rooting yourself, building a foundation in this world. There's a card I think it might be either in the Starseed Oracle, or perhaps it's in the Work Your Light Oracle by Rebecca Campbell, and it talks about making this world your home. And I believe it's a Starseed Oracle, now that I'm thinking about it. When you are deeply, profoundly connected to the higher realms, to the ethers, it can be very hard to feel like you belong in this world, to feel like there is any kind of foundational strength in your life. But more than that, it's not even just living in the ethers. It's just, God, I just, okay, pile 3. The groan isn't because of you. That is because of me. I'm pussyfooting around the message here because I'm trying to find the right words to deliver it, but I just heard, cut it to me straight. Okay. I'm going to show you this 4 of Dreams first, because I know that there's a bit of a glare. Okay. I always say that the 4 of Cups card in Rider-Waite Tarot is the card that encompasses sadness and sorrow and loss the best, because it's a card of offering from the universe, but it's a card of offering at the expense of so much loss. You have the 1 cup, which is the Ace of Cups. So love sparking anew. You have that romantic honeymoon period in which everything is amazing and beautiful and wonderful and new and exciting. And this doesn't have to be in a sexual kind of experience or connection. This is also just when you find something in life. It's like when I first started making tarot videos, everything about it was so new, so fresh that I was just charged with the magic of it all. It was a true blue Ace of Cups moment because my life had felt so devoid prior to it. And then you have the 2 of Cups where you realize this is so meant for me. This person, this thing, this career, this path is so meant for me that it's like I have found my other half. I finally feel complete. I finally feel whole. And then you go into the 3 of Cups and you have all the abundance of friends and connections and like-minded individuals, and you are getting together and everything is beautiful and wonderful and amazing. And you can't imagine how much better life could get, but people keep saying it gets better. It's even better than this. You have love, you have purpose, you have meaning, you have it all. And then you come to the 4 of Cups or the 4 of Dreams. And everything that felt so good has suddenly fallen apart, crashed, spilled, broke, and you just sit looking at the broken pieces and the disparate portions of everything where nothing fits together anymore, even though it all was one beautiful puzzle put together, this beautiful image, but now it's gone. It's gone. And the universe is nudging you saying, I have another cup. I have one more for you. All you have to do is turn away from what has been lost and look upon what is being offered. But when you feel as though you have finally found everything meaningful in life, everything purposeful in life, and then all of a sudden everything is broken down, why would you build a foundation from that? Why would you set down roots? Why would you even seek any kind of stability? Because you had it. It was there, and then it was gone. There's this beautiful realization that I have, and it's not even a realization, it's just this awareness, this truth that I see every single time I go out on a nature hike. And especially in my local area where there are multiple hikes, like paths, trails, that's what they're called, trails. For instance, the Woodland Trail is my favorite. And every time I find myself more and more in awe of the trees that are dead, broken, fallen over. And I find myself in awe of them, not because it's sad that they are in that state, but rather that because of the state that they're in, they have become the perfect foundation for new life. There are new trees that grow out of hollowed out tree trunks, fallen over from storms or time and disease or what have you. Diseased trees that die, but then they birth healthy trees. And I think every single time how incredible it is that Mother Nature will always find a way to bring forth life. In every instance, when there is mass destruction, Mother Nature will always show you that life exists consistently, continually, and in the face of death, in the face of loss. So as you are navigating through loss, so great, loss that comes on so many different levels, and we see this, we hear this all the time in the spiritual community. I had an awakening and all of a sudden my job fell away. I broke up with my girlfriend or I broke up with my boyfriend and I lost my car and I had to move homes and I disconnected from my family or my best friends or this or that. I had to get a new pet and it's like I had a spiritual awakening and my whole life fell apart. And yet, when the people are finally out there talking about that point where they had a spiritual awakening and their whole life fell apart, they're already into the phase where their new life has taken root. And so they know the end result is new life. The end result is happiness, abundance, prosperity, stability, safety, security. That is the end result. But in the process of it, you have to undergo that everything has crumbled down around me. And pile 3, I'm on like my foundational layer, building my foundational layer, because I felt like I had so much in my life. I had my marriage, my kids, I had friends, I had spiritual communities. I was rocking this whole like filming and starting to grow and, interacting with other readers and doing a bunch of collabs and this and that and everything. And then all of a sudden it was like I blinked and everything in my life was falling apart. My health was just obliterated all of a sudden. And my marriage went from the illusion of being great to almost being completely ended to now being the best relationship I've ever had in my life because it's genuine, honest, and we work through any conflict, and we do it in a way that there's no yelling, there's no meanness between us. It's incredible because I didn't grow up with that kind of relationship. So I've had to build it from scratch. I have these wonderful relationships with my kids, and I've reconnected with old friends who knew me when I was in my really toxic phase, but loved me through it, and who waited patiently while I went searching for truth and authenticity within myself. But am I out of that? I'm not even out of my 4 of Cups yet. I don't know if everybody always gets completely out of it. I know that the 4 and the 5 of Cups energy, when you're on that Cups path, it's heavy, it's challenging, it's painful. And sometimes we don't realize the help that we have. And that is what we're going to focus on with these cards. It's going to be the help that is around you that you may not realize you have. This top one represents the leaves of the trees, which is your higher self and a message from your higher self. Then we go to the branches of the tree, which is how you connect with your higher self or how your higher self connects with you. Then we've got the trunk, which is representative of your truest self, that strength and resilience and that center core being that you are. And then down here is the roots, and this is your ancestral inheritance, the help that you have in this life from your ancestors. And that's where we're going to start. We have the 7 of Shadows. Now this 7 of Shadow is the 7 of Swords, and the 7 of Swords is all about deception. But in this case, it's self-deception. It's recognizing that we don't always see it clearly for ourselves. We can deceive ourselves into believing something or perceiving something that isn't accurate. And we do that either out of a need to protect ourselves, which is a very, very common thing. You find that when you find yourself in a state of fear. When we feel fear and hesitancy because we're in some unknown territory, oftentimes that is our psyche trying to protect us from any kind of potential for harm. And I don't mean like ABUSE or anything like that. What I mean is somebody coming in or something falling away that ends up leaving you feeling shattered. Whether or not you're actually shattered is a perception based off of only what you feel internally. But your ancestral inheritance was recognizing when self-deception comes into play and recognizing when it is interference from the outside world, recognizing what it is that you contain within you and how to get out of the depths of darkness. Not all of us have that ingrained within us, that understanding that if I just keep going up these stairs, if I just keep going up to the next flight, I know I will be out of this darkness, dungeon, out of this awful, painful state, and I will have elevated beyond it. Some of you may be working through a lifetime in which you're healing ancestral karmic patterns and generational karmic patterns surrounding betrayal. And that is a really hard path to walk. That's a path where no amount of spiritual guru wisdom and insight is ever going to be the definitive, this is what you do. Only you will know that. So let's take a look at your true self. Weird. Okay, give me just 1 second. I know my voice gets kind of muffled when I turn away from the mic. I don't know if it was a bee. I think it was probably a dragonfly. but it literally just like flew into the window and then flew away. That's very interesting. That may be a sign for some of you. Okay, so your truest self is the Two of Roots or the Two of Pentacles. Look, you have all things in balance. You have your life and your love. You have who you are now and all your past lives. You have your ancestral inheritance and your soul inheritance, and they're all formed together into one being. You have a multiplicity to yourself that some people may not fully understand, because it's like you can be two different people at any given point in time. And that's true, you can be, but not in a way that is deceptive to yourself or to others. It's just that they are two sides of the same coin, two parts of who you are. And sometimes they don't necessarily see eye to eye. And those two parts come together to form the wholeness that is you. And that's the important part, is recognizing that there is a center point that these two pieces of you meet at, that heart within you. And your heart will tell you which one to utilize. It's very much like holding both light and shadow and understanding both of those aspects of the self on an intimate level, so that neither the shadow nor the light outweighs the other. This is a very powerful core self. It's a core self that is naturally stable. It's naturally grounded and rooted. You are the roots for what grows. Not everyone has that. Not everyone understands that, and not everyone can embody that. Some of us are here to grow outside of the roots that have been already planted. Some of us are here to grow the roots. Some of us are here to be the leaves. You are the roots. You're the strength. So let's find out how you can connect with your higher self. We are just moving our way up. Okay. We have the Seven of Light. This is the Seven of Wands. When we have a full moon, we have this illumination in the darkness. And when that darkness is illuminated, then we can see all the ways in which we have been fighting ourselves, whether it's imposter syndrome or self-sabotage or self-hatred or any of these things where we really do hold ourselves back. And then we can see where we projected outward onto a situation or a circumstance or someone else. And we can say, okay, is this right for me? Or is this inaccurate? And in this way, what you can do is you can actually ask your higher self to show you the path that is true. Show you how to be strong and true. Excuse me, I had to yawn. Strong and true to yourself, first and foremost, and to this life, first and foremost. And really, when you are connecting with your higher self, it's recognizing that you are able to do that regardless of what anybody else says. I almost get that it's so natural to you that like you and your higher self are always in connection. And the only time that is ever really challenged or any doubt ever comes in is when you come across something in the outside world that shakes up your foundation, that shakes up the stability that you naturally are. So when you don't have connection to your own nature, your own stability, your own rooted self, that's when it feels like the outside world is attacking. But in reality, you know how to move, how to act, how to connect. You know for yourself, first and foremost, and above and beyond anybody else. So let's find out what it is that your higher self wants to say. And I have the feeling this is going to be confirmatory. Above and beyond it being one of those like aha moments, it's going to be like, I knew this. Thank you for confirming. We have the Five of Roots or the Five of Pentacles. Your higher self wants you to know, no matter how many times it feels like you are left alone, you are out in the cold, you've been abandoned, that you don't have enough, that you are in a state of lack, no matter how many times those things feel true. You have the roots that grow anything and everything. This is a perception, but it doesn't have to be your perspective. And when we have this as a perception and we allow that to shape our perspective, so we see ourselves in a state of lack, or we see ourselves as lacking, as if it is a title we bear in this life. When we see ourselves that way, then we start building a perspective of this world that we can't ever achieve what we wish to achieve. And that nothing could be further from the truth for you, pile 3, even if you don't see it. But being in a state of lack can make you feel like you have to fight everything and everyone, or that everyone is really fighting against you. You can see negativity in abundance when it isn't as severe as it might seem, because it's what's going on within you. You feel as though there's just not enough. The 5 of Roots and the 4 of Dreams really do mesh, unfortunately, quite well, because you have this sorrow of loss and there's a blessing being offered, but you can't see that blessing that's being offered when you're sitting in a state of lack, when you're sitting in this belief that you're not good enough. That's not the truth, though. The truth is that you have the most stable, grounded, balanced, centered self, core self that exists. And therefore, all of the outside anything, it can feel overwhelming, but you're strong enough to navigate through it. So let's find out what else your guides have to say. For pile 3, what does pile 3 need to understand? Wow, okay. Okay. We have togetherness on the back of the deck, and this goes with the 4 of Dreams. They gave me 4 cards, so I'm going to put them on each of these because I have the feeling that's how they go. We're going to go from the top. No. Okay. We have lineage, perspective, my goodness, mystery, and horizon. I love this. The togetherness card can be perceived as you with somebody else. So it is possible that some of you may have just recently gotten out of a relationship, and that the thing that you're missing the most is that connection, that togetherness. Alternately, just like I said, you are 2 sides of the same coin. You have this togetherness within you, but you can feel, we can all fall into this habit of feeling really broken, really beat down by the universe, by life in general, just feeling really down. And it's mostly because we feel like we've lost something. And I'm not saying that that isn't the case. But whenever there's a loss, there is also a gain. So you come from this line that goes through this. This is what I said. You may have inherited the betrayal trauma that needs to be healed. Why? Because it's time for you to take the perspective, a different perspective, the perspective of you being rooted, being solid, being steady, being stable within yourself. No need for anything outside of yourself, because you can see far more than the average eye can. Just like the moonlight on a full moon illuminates the sky so brightly that sometimes you can pretend like it's daytime. And it's this vast mystery, what exists in the darkness, but you see through it in order for you to recognize that the only place of lack is in the past. And that's how you transcend. This togetherness card really feels like you being together with all of yourself. What is hindering pile 3? What is hindering pile 3? And what is that the je ne sais quoi, that unknown factor. What is the unknown factor? So the unknown factor will be the back of the deck. And what you aren't quite seeing yet. Of course. Okay. All right, we have departure up here. I'm going to put that there. We have the alchemist, summons, light in the darkness, and presence. Oh, I love that. I love that because it looks like a demon almost. On the back, we have the space between us. Look at, this is all about connection. This is about connection. So what it is that you need to recognize is that when it feels like you are separated, when it feels like you don't have that wholeness, whether it's within yourself or in your interpersonal relationships, it's time to let go of certain things. This departure feels like the departure from this Five of Roots. Why? Because when you embrace that you're the alchemist, so you're alchemizing, you're taking pieces that seem unconnected and you're bringing them together. Look at this. Look how similar they are. She's in shadow, but she's holding the light of the moon, and she's holding the flame, the candle flame, the sacred flame of the self. And she's heading towards these windows, and out these windows, here it is. Here she is. She's spread out. She's walking through the horizon. She's seeing all the great things. So it's that spreading your wings. When you spread your wings, you actually can fly. You move beyond it. Summons here. Look. She's not even looking at the moon. She doesn't have her eyes open, which means she's embracing the silence and the quiet and the mystery, and she's summoning something greater from within. What is she summoning? The light that exists in the darkness. The light that feeds the root system, the seeds that are planted to help them grow. That way you can see a clearer perspective of who you are. Because we can feel as though what we have inherited from our lineage, from our ancestors in this life, is this presence of darkness, of deception, of betrayal. But it's about togetherness instead of what's separating. Pain doesn't separate us from everything else. It actually is there to bring us together. And it's hard to understand that unless we choose to walk away from the things that don't suit us, that don't serve us, that don't reflect who we truly are. If we choose to remain in this state of brokenness, we'll never understand what it's like to be our fullest self. And pile 3, that is what the trees are trying to help you understand. In the trees, there is the forest, and the forest has multiple trees. None of the trees are connected that you can see necessarily, but their root systems go deep and go wide, and they intermingle with one another. And each life feeds the others and itself, which means that it's a gigantic network of life, gigantic network of family, of togetherness. So no matter what the space between, you still belong. You are crucial to it, for you are the roots. You are the one that brings everything together. Wow. Okay. Pile 3. This was incredible, intense, amazing, inspirational, insightful. Wow. Your energy. I love it. Thank you. I want to say thank you so much, first of all, for being here, for opening your energy and allowing me to read it. I want to say thank you to your guides, my guides, and the Great Spirit. Thank you for bringing us all together, for these messages to flow through me. Thank you for spreading it through the collective to welcome in the whole collective of Pile 3. May this resonate, give them confirmation, and bring them peace. Thank you. Pile 3, if this resonated and you would like to support my channel, I would be ever so grateful. You can do that by liking the video, subscribing to my channel. You can comment in the comment section below. You can share the video on social media or with a friend if you feel as though someone might be helped by it. And yeah, none of that is ever expected, but every interaction really does genuinely help my channel. It helps it grow and it helps the messages reach who it's meant for. And it's never expected. I never want you to feel obligated, but it is always deeply appreciated, as are you. Pile 3, this is what I have for you. I'm going to say thank you one more time, and I will hopefully see you at my next reading. I love you all. Bye. Hello, Pile 4. If you chose the 4th card, the Bluebird Spirit with the keyword happiness in the card number 7, this is your message of wisdom from the trees. Well, Pile 4. First of all, I want to say that your energy is truly a breath of fresh air for me, and in this reading. Now, when we hit a point of happiness, and this is an important thing to remember, when we hit a point of happiness, we can find ourselves in the habit of seeking ways to hold on to it, seeking ways to be sure that it grows and grows and grows instead of just experiencing it in the moment. And that is something that, as this card shows, and this card is indicative of a truth of this life for you that you may or may not see. So this card, it's called the Ace of Light, and that would be the Ace of Wands. So basically what I'm getting here is when you're in this state of joy, in a state of happiness, when things seem to genuinely be going well, like everything is great, everything is bright, everything is beautiful. And so we can find ourselves wanting to sabotage that. And I'm no stranger to that. I've been there. I still find myself in that place at times. But it's in this space when you slow down, when you take a deep breath, and you allow yourself to simply be, to just feel how right your world is. Not the world as a whole, but your world. The world in which you are the king and queen, in which you are the ruler. You are the one who ultimately brings everything to alignment because it all aligns to you. In this world, your world, the sun shines brightly. The moon illuminates all of the mysteries of the evening. Nothing is hidden. There is love everywhere. For the pains, there are pleasures. For losses, there are gains. It's in this space, in this place, that you exist in your purest form right now. I used to think of happiness as laughing, giggling, as no worries, no concerns, no stressors, no sadness. I thought of happiness in the terms of what wasn't in existence versus what was. And over time, I realized that I didn't really have a grasp on what happiness felt like to me. So I spent the last 2 years journaling, profound, deep, perpetual journaling. And only in the recent months have I really slowed down on it. But as I threw my all into it, I started feeling all these different emotions that I had no words for, had no context or comprehension of the experience of, because I hadn't experienced it until then. One of those being how I physically experience happiness. And I realized that a lot of the time people talk about contentedness as something different than happiness. But for me, that's what happiness feels like. Happiness feels calm. It doesn't feel frenetic. It doesn't feel chaotic. It doesn't feel as though everything has to be this big, bubbly anything. Happiness feels like waking up in the morning and smelling coffee. Happiness feels like rolling over and kissing my husband. Happiness feels like my dog's excitement when I walk in the door. Happiness feels like hearing my kids come home from school, excited to tell me about their days. Happiness feels like the quiet hush of a dusk as the sun sets and the sky gets streaked with purples and pinks and oranges, colors so breathtaking that all you can do is sit in awe at the creation that is this world. That's how happiness feels to me. For you, happiness brings about this awareness, this understanding, this inspiration, creative inspiration, this knowingness that there exists a sacred light within you. This light, the ace of light, the flame of being. Just as Vesta represents the sacred flame within the hearth, the heart, the home, so too do you in your most perfected state of happiness, which is beautifully imperfect. You embody the illumination of this beautiful light within you, this sacred flame that is your soul in existence in this world. So we're going to take a look at these cards. Sorry, I'm giggling because my neighbors across the way have 4 little boys, and one of the boys is out riding his bike, and he does this like square around the sidewalk so that he's always in plain view of his parents. But he's riding his bike, and I can hear my dogs outside barking because they're so excited. Anyway, see? Happiness. Just a brief moment. So these cards are correlated to different parts of the tree. First up top, we have the leaves. That represents a message from your higher self. Then we go one down. These are the branches. This represents how you can connect, or the state. In this case, it's the state of your connection to your higher self. Here we get the trunk, which is the core self, the authentic self, the true self, who you really are in this life. And then on the bottom, we have the roots, which is your ancestral inheritance. Now, as we are looking at the light within you, happiness and joy, this experience, I almost get like you're at the end of a very long journey, a very long chapter of your life. And not every chapter that is closed closes with joy. Not every next chapter that opens with happiness. But this time it does. This time, the chapter that closed is done. It's closed. For some of you, it closed with this joyful air. For some of you, it closed with a sadness so deep and profound that you didn't think that you'd survive it. For others of you, it closed with you sitting face to face with your greatest fear, ready to have that conversation of why it exists. But for all of you, the next chapter opens with birds chirping, early morning, happiness, just like I'm getting this image from Roger Rabbit, where it's like in Toonland and all the cartoons are singing and dancing and birds are chirping and whatever. That's what it is. That's how it opens. It opens almost comically over the top happy. So let's see let's work our way from the bottom to the top of how this opens and what it means for you moving forward. Interesting. Every pile has the same significator for the placements of the cards, but they all keep presenting in a different way. And I love that. I love the dynamism of messages like this. So with the roots and the ancestral inheritance, we have the 9 of light, the 9 of wands, your ancestors and your ancestral inheritance. This is so incredible. I don't know if some of you are from New York, but I'm getting summer in the Hamptons. Others, I get this like summer, like trips to the mountains. I just heard trips to the Cape. Does somebody have an uncle who has a horse ranch that you visited when you were a child? Interesting. Okay. Wow. Those are very specific. I'm curious. Please drop it in the comment section if one or more of those resonated. I am super curious. But I am also getting the Montana, like Glacier Park vibes from this. Very strong. The 9 of light or the 9 of wands traditionally is someone building a wall. But the 9 of light, the wall is already built. It's built, but there's still a road next to it. And it's not a solid wall anymore. It's just like hog wire. You can climb over it. You can see through it. But you're free to walk the path for you. Your ancestors are letting you know that in order to recognize when you're walking down the proper path, you needed to understand what it was like to go through the pains and then remain open. And that's not an easy thing to do, Pile 4. It really isn't. When you go through pain and anguish in this life, humanity has this hesitancy, or this tendency to hesitate in connecting, especially after heartache and heartbreak. We fear enduring any further loss and pain, so we hold ourselves back. But your inherited energy blessings here are that you recognize why the pain exists and how it is beautifully balanced with pleasure. It's beautifully balanced with happiness. You don't let the pain keep you from experiencing life. And that's a huge deal. Pile 4, I mean, you could definitely be a teacher for people, because not everybody knows how to do that. I know I don't. That is one of my biggest hangups in this life, is that when someone that I love dies, I struggle to continue living. I struggle to know how to continue to live my life. I struggle to recognize my life as life in general. Like, I struggle so much because my heart is so shattered from those moments. So for someone to be able to endure through life's hardships, through losses, through death, through disease, through destruction, but keep themselves open, having that protective fence that is still open to seeing all perspectives and all angles, to allowing others in, instead of just blocking out the world. That is so important for others to understand as being a possibility. I find that oftentimes we don't fully understand the nature of happiness. We don't understand how to feel it, but you inherited this innate knowingness that it's just simply going to be okay. Even when it's not okay, it will be okay, or it is okay. It's okay for it to not be okay. And I say that a lot, but it's a different energy here. And so let's find out what your core self is, because you definitely inherited this beautiful openness that is just astounding to me. Oh my gosh, look, 10 of light. Oh my gosh. You're the next generation. You are the future. It's hard to put it into a complete context, because what I get from this, and sure, I could go with the Rider-Waite tarot, the 10 of wands, you're carrying everything on your back, your shoulder. But no, there's so much light in this card. There are so many wands energies here. Are you guys a fire sign? That would be Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. Or do you have your sun in the first, the fifth, or first, fifth, and ninth houses? Do you have your sun in one of those houses, or are you a fire rising? Definitely fire rising or fire moon. What I'm getting from this is that your core self understands the nature of responsibility, of what it's like to walk through this life carrying it all, but you know the value of light. You know the value of it because you stay in the darkness for so long. So you're here as the next generation. You're here as a whole new chapter. That makes so much sense now. Okay. So you are literally, I mean this as I'm trying to be as clear as possible. So say that this has to do with your ancestral inheritance. So say that you can see these patterns throughout your family's history, like father, grandfather, great-grandfather, so on and so forth. And you can see these patterns, say, of addiction or abuse or divorce or infidelity, whatever it is. And it goes through the lines, whether it's on your mother's side, on your father's side, whether it is, through the father's maternal line or the mother's paternal, what have you, it's going to be somewhere in the family tree between there. So, and it's like a very obvious pattern. Okay. So some families have those. Your soul contracted here to be the literal next generation, so that closed. And with the openness of being aware of that pattern, who you are is a closer. You're here to close it, because what you leave behind, your legacy, your footprint left behind here, is going to shape an entirely new. You are like the ancestor of the ancestors here. It's like, God, it's like you see the family tree coming down. So you've got your core two people, and then everything disseminates down, and then it trickles down, and then it finds you. And you are both at the top and the bottom of a family tree. So the family tree that you're at the top of is starting to mirror the family tree that you were at the bottom of. But if you think about the premise of a mirror, when you look in the mirror, it reverses the image. So when you are at that top point, you have now reversed the pattern, reversed the behaviors, because of the openness between you and your ancestral line, you and your generational lines, because you have stayed open to embracing happiness, inspiration, new beginnings. You came here to close chapters so that you would be that foundation that's at the top so that you can, when the generations spread down and spread out, they have their firm foundation in the truth of who you are. And in that way, you end up being the higher self of your family in the future. That's why you're the future, because you're who will be consulted. So if you think about you talking to your ancestors, you talking to your deities, you talking to your guides, that head guide, that's who you are destined to be after this life. And therefore, in this life, you're closing all the chapters of what came before, because it's time for a new story for your family line, for all of the bloodlines. And that story starts with you, and it starts with you recognizing how to find happiness in the darkest of times, because it's so freaking rare for genuine joy, genuine happiness when the world looks the way that the world does right now. Pile 4, you're here to literally change the world. And you don't have to do it on this big, huge scale. Like, you don't have to go out and preach to the masses. You don't have to go and do any kind of song and dance. It's just you live your life as you. And that changes so much. It's like the collective of pile 4, you are the hope that exists at the bottom of Pandora's box. Whereas everybody else exists as one of the things that flew out of there, or interacting with one of the things that flew out. You have always been and always shall be the hope at the bottom of the box. And what is that hope? That hope is light. That hope is light that sees the darkness, light that acknowledges the darkness, that feels the darkness, that goes through it, that sees how beautiful the darkness is, how beautiful these pains tend to be. Because we can think of pain and be like, there's no beauty in it. My aunt, when she died, I didn't recognize the world at all anymore. Nothing felt real. Going through that experience changed a lot, because my cousin had been killed in an accident back in 2010. Yeah, 2010. And this is 14 years later, and it's a similar accident, except the circumstances surrounding it have helped to heal what happened with my cousin. And if it weren't for seeing the beauty in these small moments, how would you see the beauty in the large moments? Jaded, cynical natures end up becoming handicapped by the sadness and the sorrows and the pains, the traumas and the wounds, the depravity of the human race. But not for you. And you're not blindly optimistic. You're not like toxically optimistic. And that is a thing. Toxic optimism is genuinely a thing. That is when you are so blindly optimistic that you refuse to see the downfalls, the pitfalls, the pains. You refuse an entire half of the existence of life. But that's not what you do, because you inherited this beautiful ability to see both sides of the coin, both sides of the fence, to travel on both sides, whether it's a charted path or it's a brand new one that you are charting yourself. That is what you are here for. You're here as the new seeds of a new forest, an entire forest. This is incredible. Okay, let's find out how you connect with your higher self. The Hermit. You guys may have been drawn to another pile. That card was actually in a same placement and everything in another pile. I don't want to say which one. I did pick it up in that pile, this energy as well. So if you are from that pile, hi guys, this is the other half, which is incredible. So we're just going to go directly into the message because these two are definitely paired together. We have Temperance. Oh my God, Sagittarius energy right here. Right there, we have Sagittarius energy. Oh, I love it. Okay. Your higher self is letting you know that you literally are the healing angel. Your heart heals masses. Like you pour out the waters of life like an Aquarius does. And the way that you connect is through yourself. You have this beautiful like homeostasis energetic field that I'm being shown where I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Biodome, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. And not the biodome after all the mess and whatever, but it's a self-sufficient energy field. And within that, it's connected to your higher self, to your ancestors, to the light, to the darkness, to all of it. It's like you exist on a plane of the Akashic field, but you're here in the physical. This is so profound. This energy is so incredibly profound. I'm sorry. I don't like really pile 4. You guys are the inspiration of the world. I don't know what else I can say. Wow. Okay. What does pile 4 need to see? We have beauty and shadow. Literally, you see the beauty in all of the darkness. You see the beauty. You see the beauty of the journey. Look, this pilgrimage is just the same as this person walking, and that person stopped. Like, this is it. There is beauty in the darkness. There is beauty in the journey. And you see that beauty. You embody that beauty. And from that, this homeostasis, symbiotic connection that you have with your shadow, with your light, with all of it, what you do is you bring that beauty to the world. And beauty, I got this message as I was, before I had even like sat down to really prep for this, I heard beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And that is so important for you because you are the beholder. So beauty is what you define it as. And it doesn't fall under the guise of the traditional like beauty standards of the world. This is beauty in the sense of spirit, in the sense of energy, beauty in the sense of your soul, your very soul that is here. And it's so beautiful and so blinding that you basically burn away any illusions for those around you. And that had to be a really tough childhood pile for. Like, I'm just getting this like, man, as a child burning that away because to burn it away means that you have to see it. You have to see it without being able to look away, which makes you essentially a truth teller. And that's not an easy role as a child to play. You burnt away all the masks. No one can hide from the truth of the light. We have remnant. What is the remnant here is what is remaining from all of it. What remains? Guys. Okay. Oh my God. That's why. So you are a literal remnant. You are what remains behind after Pandora's box is open. That's what hope is. That's what you are. Your entire existence is literal hope. Pile 4. I am so deeply humbled by this energy. I am so deeply humbled to know that you are part of this community, even if it's just passing by. Thank you. I want to say thank you for your energy. Thank you for opening your energy, but thank you for sharing this energy with the world. Thank you for existing. Thank you. Wow. I also want to take this time to say thank you to your guides, to my guides, to the Great Spirit for bringing this energy in, for connecting us all together, for this incredible, incredible reading. Thank you so much. Thank you. Pile 4. I want to hug you guys. You have changed my life just by being here. So thank you again. If this resonated and you guys would like to support my channel, I would love that. I'd be honored. You can do that in several ways. You can like the video, comment on the video. You can share it with your friends or family or on social media if you feel like somebody could be helped by it. You can subscribe to my channel. Any and every interaction with my channel really does help. It really, truly does. And I am ever so grateful for it. It's never expected, and I never want anyone to feel obligated. But I'm always, always so deeply appreciative of it. Pile 4, this is what I have for you. Thank you for just being. So without further ado, I will leave you guys here. I hope that I see you at my next reading. I love you all. Bye.